A very good day to Madam Noor Sa'adah. We are Group 16 and we are going to present our assignment titled Consumer Behavior That Occurs in Today's Society. I'm Aishwarya Anpalagan and these are my fellow group mates. In Chapter 1, we will be discussing about the introduction of the study. It includes the background of the study, the research method, the research objectives, and also the research questions. Businesses nowadays are increasingly concerned with individual client behavior. Consumers' personal variables such as lifestyle and life stage have been proven to lead to different purchase behaviors. The overall concept of customer decision making has yet to be thoroughly investigated. Hence, this project tries to fill that knowledge gap. In this survey, we used quantitative research strategies, which was using questionnaires with numerically rated items. Next is research approach. We used inductive approach which are used to produce generalized theories. Moving on with sampling selection, we used purposive sampling which means sample members are selected on the basis of their knowledge. Next is objective of the study. Firstly, to obtain consumers' opinion about the factors that influence their demand behavior. We listed several factors and observed which factors do the respondents put first when making a purchase decision. Next is to evaluate consumers' choices given two goods. We compared two goods that are substitute to each other. We gave consumers various situations where the prices of one good is changed and how would they make a purchasing decision towards the other good. The following are the research questions that the researcher wants to scrutinize in this study. What constituent is an element of decision-making forces, and also why has consumer behavior evolved to be mainly influenced by external factors?
Assalamualaikum to Puan Sa'adah. I'm Fatina Jiha and I will continue to Chapter 2, Theory and Literature Review. 2.1 Consumer Behavior. Consumer behavior can be defined as a relationship that occurs between oneself and their desires. According to Bagozzi and Zatman, the interpretation of consumer behavior is not only about individual consumption but involves a group of people and it happens simultaneously in every aspect. While Walters assumed that consumer behavior is individual consumptions only. Moving on to decision making. Decision making in consumer is a situation where people understand their initial intentions when buying products, and societies are open to a lot of alternatives in the market, and it helps businesses to figure out what products need to promote more actively. According to Putaya, a few trends that occurred during the pandemic are the shifting usage in mobility and the increasing number of online purchases. A report by Mastercard recently showed that Malaysia leads mobile wallet usage in Southeast Asia at 40%, while Singapore at 26%. This proves that Malaysians are actively participating in virtual trends.
I will going to continue this section, which is 2.3, Consumer Demand. Theory of Consumer Demand. Consumer demand is a term used nowadays to describe the relationship between consumer demand and the pricing of goods and service in the market. It also known as the demand curve, which is a horizontally sloping downward or upward curve. This is the basic consumer demand. When the quantity of goods is increased, the price of the goods will become lower. So the consumer demand is influenced by four main aspects, which is including psychological factors, social factors, personal factors, and cultural factors. This is the factors that affect consumers' behavior demand. The first one is psychological factors. Psychological factors is related to perception, beliefs, learning, motivation, and attitudes. For example, a consumer will selectively perceive what they will need and want while picking goods A and goods B. According to Connolly in 2010, it stated that when consumers respond to stimuli, will subconsciously express their needs, values, and anticipations, and then they use their approach to choose, organize, and explain the stimuli. The second factor is social factors, including family, reference groups, and roles and status. Family can become as opinion givers, decision makers, buyers, users, and influencers. For example, an assumption that there are a lot of consumers who prefer to buy goods A rather than goods B, another consumer will indirectly affect their behavior and demand to buy the same things, which is goods A. And the third one is the personal factors. It depends on age and life cycle stage, occupation, economic circumstance, lifestyle, personality, and self-concept. Every age and life cycle stage have different needs to satisfy. For example, different age and life cycle stage, especially for an old man who changed his style from unhealthy products like fast food to a healthy style to continue their daily life. And the last factor is cultural factors. Cultural factors is related to culture, subculture, and social class in these 3 points. To illustrate on this point, cultural difference from consumers in the country prefer KFC, but the cultural difference for consumers outside the country prefer Mary Brown. It expresses that different countries will have a different making decisions. So, according to Kim in 2004, it related that the religion is regarded as a long-term phenomenon. It should never be overlooked while studying consumer behavior demand. So, I will stop here a while. My friends, which is group members, will going to continue the next session, which is 2.5 utility concepts.
Consumers are individual or group of people who order and use good product and service purchased for personal, social and family needs. Consumers also include the largest economic groups affecting and affected by most every public and private economic decision. Consumer also refer to the individual associated with the use of something. For example, a health consumer is a person who uses a medical service. Consumer choice refer to the decision that consumer make regarding product and service. The consumer will make a choice depending on their own preference and budget. In short, while making decision before purchasing any goods, the consumer will be making choice to maximizing their utilities. Their taste of preferences will determine amount of satisfaction they get from the purchase of good and service. The factor that can affect the consumer choice. The first one is income and the second one is price of good. Factor that can affect consumer choice. The first one is income. Income is the amount of money an individual earns in a given period of time. Income also can be defined as the result of such property earned by an individual through work, performance, or referred to as a salary. Income is a very important to individual because income is source that will be used to meet needs and wants of customer. The second one is price of good. Price is the value assigned to an item. The purchasing power of consumer depends on the price of good and service offered based on the market value set by the government. Just like income, price changes are very important because they also determine the individual's ability to buy. Decrease in price will have a positive effect, while an increase in the price of good will give a negative effect to some buyers.
Next, in Chapter 2, 2.5 Utility Concept. Utility happens when individuals choose and decide their consumption and their satisfaction is satisfied at the maximum level. Types of utility approach are cardinal utility, which can be measured quantitatively in the same way as one can measure weights and heights. Number 2, ordinal utility is a qualitative approach that can be expressed in the terms of more than or less than. To measure consumer satisfaction level, we can use a few analyses, such as in cardinal utility, we can analyze consumer satisfaction using marginal utility, and it relates with diminishing marginal utility. While in ordinal utility, we can analyze their satisfaction level with indifference curve as well as marginal rate substitution.
Based on the analysis of the study, I will talk about the results of the study that have been obtained based on the questionnaire form. In this session, we can find out about the background of respondents in Part A, which consists of gender, ethnicity, and age, while in Part B, we can find out about consumer behavior when buying either good A or good B, which has been provided in the form of survey questions. This section discusses the data analysis and displays the findings of the study that has been done through the questionnaire method. The data that has been entered has been processed to obtain statistics. A total of 18 respondents from various backgrounds were surveyed using a questionnaire. Based on the result of the study from 18 respondents who were surveyed, a total of 9 people, which is 50%, were male respondents, while another 9 people, which is 50% also, were female respondents. So the data shows that there is a balance in the age-related questionnaire of the respondents. Next, I will talk about ethnic of respondents. Based on the results of the study from 18 respondents who were surveyed, the number of respondents for ethnic Malays, Chinese, and others is the same, which is 5 people, where the percentage for ethnic Malays and Chinese are 28%, while for other ethnic groups is 27%. The lowest number of ethnic groups is from the Indian ethnic group, which is only 3 people, equivalent to 17%. This is because not many people from this ethnicity answered the questions from questionnaire method. Then, based on number of respondents by age, a total of 14 people, which is 78%, are respondents aged below 30. In addition, respondents aged between 31 to 40 years are a total of 1 person, which is 5%, followed by respondents aged between 41 to 50 years, with a total of 2 people, which is 11%. Furthermore, respondents aged 50 years and above are only 1%, which is 6%, the same as the group aged 31 to 40.
3.3, we will continue our analysis on consumer behavior. Now we look to the table 2. Now we go to question number 1. I prefer to purchase goods or products depending on their brands. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest frequency, while for the agree skull show the highest value with 6 frequency at 33.3%. For the second statement, even if the price is high, I'm glad if I can buy branded good. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest value at 1 frequency, while for moderate skull show the highest value with 7 frequency at 38.9%. For the third statement, if my income rise, I will increase my purchase of goods. In bracket, assumption of ceteris paribus. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest value at 1 frequency, while for the agree skull show the highest value with 7 frequency at 38.9%. For the fourth statement, if the price of goods is low, I will increase my purchases. In bracket, assumption of ceteris paribus. For this question, strongly disagree and disagree show the lowest value at 1 frequency, while for the agree and strongly agree skull show the highest value with 6 frequency at 33.3. For the fifth statement, that I prefer to buy goods online rather than in person. For this question, strongly disagree and disagree show the lowest value at 2 frequency, while for the moderate skull show the highest value with 8 frequency at 44.4%. For the sixth statement, that purchasing goods online is more convenient and cost-effective. For this question, strongly disagree and disagree show the lowest value at 1 frequency, while for the moderate and agree skull show the highest value with 6 frequency at 33.3%. We go to the 3.4 part C. In this part, we will see the relationship between consumer behavior towards price of goods. Now we look to the table 3. For the first statement, that if the price of good A falls by 50%, I will purchase it. In bracket, assumption of ceteris paribus. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest value at 0 frequency, while for the agree skull show the highest value with 9 frequency at 50%. For the second statement, that even if the price of good A is high, I will still purchase good A. In bracket, assumption of ceteris paribus. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest value at 1 frequency, while for disagree skull show the highest value with 8 frequency at 44.4%. For the third statement, if the price of good B rises by 50%, I will purchase good A, in a bracket, assumption of ceteris paribus. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest value at 0 frequency, while for the strongly agree, skull show the highest value with 6 frequency at 33.3%. The first statement is if my income increased by 50%, I will purchase good A, in a bracket, assumption of ceteris paribus. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest value at 0 frequency, while for the moderate skull show the highest value with 8 frequency at 44.4%. The fifth statement is if my income increased by 50%, I will purchase both good A and B. For this question, strongly disagree show the lowest value at 0 frequency, while for the agree skull show the highest value with 7 frequency at 38.9%.
Very good to meet Noor and my fellow friends. I would like to introduce this chapter 4, which is conclusion and suggestions. Before I enter in this topic, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Lo Yong Kang. Number metric is 289503. In the conclusion of this topic, we can know that the consumer behavior in the present society has gone through a phase of change. This change was due to the number of factors that affect each person differently. For example, the personal factors, cultural factors, and psychological factors will bring a huge consequence for each person. So in nowadays, the society community will tend to use the online service in the world well. Apart from that, the consumer behavior covers various of concepts of our lives in spending. I give one of the example that when the consumer they manage their budget, they will get to know their financial situation that needs to be issued each month. So when they know their financial situation, they can secure a buy list to maximize their needs. Okay, we're heading to the suggestions. The first suggestion is offer a brand new style of flavor and new appearance. Why we need to offer a brand new style? Because the consumers will tend to buy the newest thing they ever taste. So we're applying brand new style. It will help the satisfaction of consumers and increase the sales of KFC and McDonald's. For example, brand new package like Japanese or Korean style with affordable price placed on the advertisement can stimulate a person's preference. Okay, after that, the second suggestion is upgrade their cave into a more modern and refurbished environment. In exactly, we have offer a self-service kiosk where customer can freely choose their desired food or beverage. What is kiosk? Kiosk is a machine without having to queue up. It helps socially at work and introvert to have as minimal human interaction as possible. For example, their settings, interior designs, and ambience should also have a refurbished or a betterment in order to create an attraction and magnetism towards consumers. In summary, I have to make a conclude that this suggestion is very essential for them because it shows a good appearance for consumers or customer and it able to satisfy their needs during the store.
Hi, once again, my name is Fatina Jiha and I will represent my group members in this last part of the presentation. During making this group assignment, we learned a lot about communication and teamwork, and these two components are very important and very much needed during this group assignment since we are doing it online and the discussion was very difficult, but we made it through. And thank you to Noor Sa'adah for guiding us in making these articles writing. The knowledge that we gain will be very much valuable in the future. And yeah, thank you. That's all from us, Group 16.